good evening, and welcome back to Mystic Hour, a live podcast about all things mystical and nerdy right here on Proficiency Bonus. I'm your host, Kristy Mysticwater, and each week we have some fun roundtable chats with some crazy people about all things, all the geeky fandoms, hobbies, and cultures. I'm sorry, my group is going crazy right here now. We're talking about this bitch being a superhero name. It's great. So, before we begin, just a quick...
Captain Dispatch.
Oh, Captain Dispatch, my bad. Before we begin, just a big thanks to our supporters of the stream, Streamlabs, Many-Sided Dice. Also, we have a new stream announcement, which I'm actually going to take you guys over because we have a couple people from the new stream here that's going to be starting April 2nd at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Russell or Kurtis, do you guys want to kind of plug your thing? Because I know you guys are having a giveaway that day.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, we're doing lots of things. So, we're called Tabletop Legends, and we're a live D&D show that is actually, we're going to be in the room together. We have a nice set, so it'll be, all of us will actually be in the room together. It's DM'd by my brother. So that's how I got the job, nepotism. On our first show, we're going to be doing some giveaways. We have a Tabletop Legends poster signed by the whole cast, which
Let me
is
open that up for you.
Worthless
there it is.
right now. Our signatures are worth nothing. We'll also be giving away some other stuff. I think we maybe talked about t-shirts or something. But the main prize is we're going to be giving away that fancy dancy, super sexy, limited edition, slipcase edition of the core rulebooks. That big fancy. Yep. So we're going to give away one of those.
Sounds cool.
Because we're crazy.
That's so awesome. So tonight we are going to be discussing the heavy topic of Marvel versus DC. But before we start that, let's go around the table. I know we have a couple people that have been on here before, but if you're listening on iTunes podcast, I know I'm late uploading, but if you're listening on iTunes and you don't know who or what is happening, I'm going to start with Lip and just let everybody know who you are, where you're from, any plugs you want to drop in.
Hey folks, I'm Lip. I'm kind of new here.
Oh yeah, okay.
I am on the Wednesday session of Wish Brood. Yeah.
Wish Brood and Hell or High Water when it eventually comes back in. So you're on everywhere.
I'm all over the place. You'll see me in a bunch of one shots as well. I am from Chicago, and forgive me if I talk too much in this topic. It's a very personal one.
Next we have Ani.
Hello.
Hello.
My name is Ani. I am around for the Thursday game, Delve and Dash. I play Raz. I also got into all this stuff from Kristy, who I play with on Sunday, but you guys don't get to see that.
No. Me, Lip, and Ani play on Sundays. It's our non-streamed game, but it's great. It's so much drama. Then next we have Russell.
Hello, I'm Russell. I already talked before. I gave you a spiel about.
Well, that's the important announcement, so we had to get you in there right away.
I came on. I'm a big DC Marvel fan. Coming to you live from New Jersey, which, if you look at the DC map, is where Gotham City is.
Ooh.
So, bingo.
Bingo. Batman is from Jersey. Sorry.
Even though it's filmed in Chicago.
Wow. Okay, we'll
just
get
the Chris Nolan. Just the Chris Nolan.
Okay. Here we go. Already.
Oh wait, Ani, where are you from?
Oh, I'm from Minnesota. So I'm watching the snow through my window right now.
Oh, great.
Oh, yeah, there's a huge storm. Yeah.
Yep.
All right, last but not least, we have Kurtis.
Hey, my name is Kurtis. I am also from New Jersey. I am also taking part of Tabletop Legends as well. I'll be playing actually a Goliath Barbarian in this game.
Cool.
I talked about my character.
Yeah, you can. Sure, for sure.
I'll be playing a Goliath Barbarian named Osrius. He's a fun character. I love him. I have been playing D&D for a while. I play with Russell's brother Matt there. We've been playing a campaign that also Russell is a part of Out of the Abyss? Into the Abyss?
Yeah.
Can't remember. Yeah. But we've been playing that for like 2.5 years now. So that's been going on.
And we're only halfway through the book.
Only halfway through the book.
Hey, that's us at Storm King's Thunder. We're so off book. We're like, we don't even know what's happening. It's fine.
Yeah. But, the plug for that is just, Tabletop Legends. It's going to start April 2nd.
And it'll air every Tuesday going forward from April 2nd.
Yeah.
So we'll have a Tuesday slot on Proficiency Bonus. That's our one day.
Unless we all die.
Yeah,
TPK, let's go!
TPK first.
That'd be awesome if, first episode it was like, and the whole party's dead. So in episode 2, join us when we re-roll the character.
I'm just looking forward to that Mystic Hour where you all are all on the show and everyone's heavily smoking.
Just stress eating.
It will also be a campaign that is originally written by our faithful DM, wonderful DM, Matt.
Oh, so it's a homebrew.
So
cool.
Yes,
Yeah,
cool.
completely new. He just posted the map.
Yes, he did.
Created of our world on our Facebook page.
Cool.
He's created the whole world himself, and he puts so much time and devotion into being a DM, and it really shows. And if you come to the stream, just not even for us, just for him, he does a great job with putting it all together for us.
Yeah, we're all super excited here at Proficiency Bonus for this. It's a new type of medium and format that we're all super excited to see how it's gonna flow out.
Yeah,
we're excited.
Yeah, we're all really excited. Yep.
Yeah. Well, normally we talk about D&D on this show, but not today. Not today.
Except for the part where we did.
Except for the part where we did. But it's okay because it's part of the announcements. We can get by on it. It's fine. So, yes, we're going to start off pretty easy, I think, what is your guys' first exposure to either DC or Marvel, any form of the medium? What was your first exposure to that? Let's start with Lip, since this was your idea.
Yeah.
This is your fault.
This is all your fault.
All your fault. Actually, this is a huge testament to my brother, if you're watching. I got into a lot of it. I don't know if 90 folks are into it, but I got into it from the cartoons in the morning. So Saturday morning cartoons, there was the original X-Men series, there was the Spider-Man series, there was Batman, the animated series. Basically, the animated series era was my way in. I was pretty young, and my brother, actually, when the animated series came out, it was closer to the 80s, closer to your age.
Shut up!
But my brother,
call me out.
My brother would come home from school. He would actually take me out of my crib, make oatmeal in the little Power Ranger bowl, and then sit me in front of the TV and watch it. And so that was a huge part of my childhood. And after that, I just started getting into the comic books, and I collected. I don't want to say that number, but a lot so far. A lot of comics.
Cool. What about you, Annie? How did you get into the medium?
So, I think I'm, of course, Googling things to find a timeline right now because I'm I have no idea. So when I was younger, we didn't have a TV or anything, so I didn't watch any Saturday morning cartoons or anything. So I think it would have been X-Men movies would have been the first thing that I ever saw.
Interesting.
And I don't even think that I knew that they were Marvel. That wasn't a thing. So I remember watching some of the older X-Men stuff, and then in high school, a guy who was would sometimes sub at my school and coach the ski team was super into Captain America. He has Lycra that's Captain America, and it's a bit obsessive. But one day
he and teacher's name.
And the registered list he's on now.
But yeah, and so he and my sister and one of our friends who were also on the ski team we ended up going to like a Captain America movie with him or something, or somehow like and since then it's like, oh, these are actually pretty good. I like superhero movies. So I will admit I've pretty much only seen Marvel stuff. I'm not great with DC. Like Batman and Superman were never like big for me. But my favorite comic book character and the only comic book I've ever read is DC. So, you know.
All right. What about you, Russell? What was your first exposure that you remember?
I have two like very vivid things. The one thing is like Batman the Animated Series is definitely like the thing. That's like one of my earliest memories is watching that. Mm-hmm. But the other moment that I can like vividly remember came much later in like 6th grade. I had always liked superheroes and comics and stuff, but never really got into them. I wasn't like the best reader. So in 6th grade, I went to Barnes & Noble and picked up the Daniel Way run of Ghost Rider.
Oh.
First volume.
Interesting.
Which, not necessarily like for kids.
Right, yeah.
I started reading that, and it not only like got me more into comics, but like it helped me become a better reader. So that was like the first like comics I remember.
That's interesting.
And now when because I still have that set, it was like ended up being like 5 or 6 like trade volumes. I remember because I'm sure as we can all relate, being bullied for nerd stuff. One of my volumes still has one of the characters like has a mustache drawn on it from when somebody was like, she's like, nerd, I'm gonna draw. Like every time I reread that series, there's like a
little reminder of how much assholes kids were back then.
Like,
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Flashbacks to childhood.
Wow. What about you, Kurtis? What was your first exposure?
It's kind of honestly hard for me to remember. I do remember a very vivid moment in my life where I was very young and the most amazing movie titled Batman from 1989.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and I remember my grandmother for some reason had it on tape. And I remember when I was younger, I used to watch that movie over and over and over and over.
VHS, just hit rewind.
And I wore that movie out so much that it completely just stopped working.
You get the tracking lines.
Yeah, and it was so bad. But I remember watching that movie, and I was just like, man, this is like so cool. And I was like, the characters are all neat. And I remember going to school afterwards. I think maybe it was around like 4th grade, 5th grade, and like started talking about comics, and we started talking about the movies and started talking about Batman. And then after that, me and a group of friends, what we used to do was we didn't really have any comic book stores around where I grew up, which was in Ohio, but we used to go down to the corner stores and we used to buy the loose issues that were on the magazine racks along with like all the other magazines and stuff like that. So that's where we used to end up going and like pulling issues that really just had no rhyme or reason for ever being there. There were some Batman comics, there were some typical Superman comics, but every day we used to go by and like pull all of our like kind of like group change together to buy this. Like I think at that point comics were like $1. To all like pull $1 together to get like issues of comics and start putting them back and forth. And yeah, I remember as Russell said, being kind of being the group of kids that were picked on for having comics at school. We used to all sit around and at lunch and eat and read all of our comics and give them back and forth to each other. But I would have to say that Batman, the one I remember the most, Batman, the 1989 version, the movie, and it was. From there, it was like I don't know. I don't know if there was any way back.
I mean, I'm gonna date myself a little bit here because.
Well, you about to say Adam West?
Yep, I'm gonna say the 1960s TV show. Even though I was watching it at like. Pretty much, it was like a Nick at Night thing where they would do like a rewind of like I Dream a Genie, Bewitched. and the Batman, and Batman, I think that Batman of the 1960s original was my first one, and I was really little because it was like bam, pow!
There's no shame in that. There's no shame in that.
I love that.
That was a lot of people's first Batman.
That was my first exposure to anything, like even before the animated series or any of that came out. That was my first exposure.
Our generation doesn't know how lucky they are to have grown up with, like, Batman the Animated Series was your Batman. Yeah. It wasn't... Though I will say, Adam West Batman is better than, like, your Batman being, like, Nipples George Clooney Batman.
I mean...
Hey, that has a very specific question.
We were talking about bat nipples?
My brother is like, when he thinks back about it, my brother and I have 5 years, he goes, my Batman is unfortunately Val Kilmer.
Yeah.
Like, he's not the worst out of that bunch.
Mine's Adam West, 100% Adam West, because I was obsessed with Catwoman. She was... Oh,
which one?
She was a good one.
Oh my god. Hang on, let me find her.
Eartha Kitt is good.
The Eartha Kitt Catwoman
I'm pretty sure that was her.
Fucking Vincent Price's Eggman. I always remember that. I always remember Price's Eggman. That was great. Excellent. Excuse me.
Yeah, there's a lot of sadness that happened with the
Eartha Kitt was my Catwoman. I was freaking obsessed with her. 100%.
And that's not bad.
She's amazing.
She was great.
She made me realize, like, even though she was technically a villain, I'm like, she's so badass. I want to be her. So
absolutely.
Yeah, she was my girl. So
there's a great story that one of my dad's friends loves to tell, where this guy that he worked with, there's a Chinese guy who grew up like in Hong Kong or whatever, and was now the head of this company. And he was on a plane one time, sitting next to Adam West.
Oh shit!
Didn't realize it. So like Adam West starts talking to this guy. And he's like, what do you do? He's like, I run this company, whatever. And he's like, oh, I'm Batman.
I'm Batman.
And this guy was like, okay. And he's like, no, I'm Adam West. I played Batman. He's like, oh,
holy shit!
No, I know.
I like the fact that Adam West is like totally like, yeah,
I'm Batman.
Whatever. You may think you're cool. I'm Batman.
I'm Batman.
Like, I found the one guy on the plane and possibly in the world that doesn't know that I played Batman.
Which for a lot of celebrities, you would be like, yes, I found the one guy. But for Adam West, who loved being Batman, he's like, I found the one guy. The one guy who doesn't know I'm Batman?
Yep. I mean, I definitely watched like all the animated series. Like I was a 90s kid usually. I would watch all the X-Men. Not so much the Spider-Man. The old Spider-Man wasn't really my thing.
Bye.
My mom loved it, and my mom would watch it, and I would be like, meh. I wasn't really into it. I was more into like Sailor Moon and shit and Cardcaptors. So
I was into both.
Don't knock on Sailor Moon. I mean, I watched Sailor Moon.
I was huge into Sailor Moon. Thank you.
Yeah.
If I had to choose between Spider-Man and Sailor Moon, that's a whole nother conversation.
I would give up my life. I would just stop living.
What is this, a crossover episode?
Apparently.
Spider-Man and Sailor Moon, I'd watch that.
I'd watch that for sure. For sure. So
Into the Spider-Verse 2 confirmed.
Yes!
Into the Sailor Mooniverse.
Oh, yes. Oh, my God. Moon Kingdom, let's go.
I wouldn't mind it.
Kristy, I think that you have on
cat.
the chats. Kristy, I think you have a twin person on the chat.
that's Crystal. She's my DM and she's the one that plays with me for Bubbles in the Monday game, and she DMs me on Tuesday.
Gotcha. So you guys are basically the same person.
Yeah, basically. Yep. We mind meld all the time. It's great.
And my cat has joined the stream.
Hi, Kitty.
Her name is Susie.
Hi, Susie.
So, Susie, what was your first
exposure
to...
I had some Batman-shaped kibble.
It'd probably be some X-Men movie that she watched with me.
All right, let's go into who's your favorite character or hero, and if you can't choose one, I'll give you a top 3.
We also have a request that the chat wants to know both your favorite comic character and your favorite movie character.
Oh, jeez. Okay.
That could be very different.
Yeah, that's true. Okay.
Oh man, that's hard.
That is really hard.
I only hardcore subscribe to Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool, but in X-Men Legends.
No.
No.
Not okay.
I love Ryan
The
Reynolds.
worst.
I just realized the only
X-Men.
DC movie I've ever watched is Green Lantern.
And see, that's not bad. That's
Yeah.
not bad.
And you
Don't
lived?
Don't tell. No. I totally no. Green Lantern was actually not bad.
Green Lantern
here
has
to
one
defend
good
it.
moment in it. One good moment in the whole movie.
No.
And that's when
Here we go.
the love of his life
you're gonna
shows
end it
up,
with Deadpool?
right? and he's in the mask, and he says something, and she's like, "Hal?" He's like, "How'd you know it was me?" She's like, "I've known you my entire life. I don't know you because you have like
A mask.
your nose."
Finally, someone
Only good part of that
understands.
movie.
It's like just because I can't see your cheekbones.
Yeah.
doesn't mean I know
Because your cheekbone doesn't mean I know who you are.
Oh man.
But yeah, so I can't speak to any DC movies because I've only seen a not good one, so.
It's good. It's good. Don't let anybody
It's
tell
okay.
you that.
It's okay. At least you're on our side. You're on our side of the world.
My favorite, at least in the animated scene, is Nightwing and Starfire. There, I said it.
It's good.
I'm a
That's
Teen
good.
Titans girl through and through. Teen Titans are all my top faves. I can't. Love my Teen Titans.
Look, Ron Perlman as Deathstroke. Pretty top notch. Or Slade, as he was
Slade
called.
is
Yeah,
yes,
Slade.
I love Slade.
Slade is Deathstroke, and
yes.
Ron Perlman was
Where was that?
Slade
at?
was great.
in the original Teen Titans. Slade
Yeah.
was
Oh
like the main
yes.
big bad
Yeah,
guy.
that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was Ron Perlman.
In the TV, in the
Ron Perlman, yeah.
animated show, yeah. Slade was
Yeah.
freaking badass.
'Cause
Carol was
they
amazing.
actually they couldn't use the name Deathstroke
Right.
because they thought that was too
It's
much
too
for kids.
much for kids, so they used the Slade.
Deathstroke, so they use Slade.
Yep. So I've always known him as Slade. So when I found out he was actually called Deathstroke, I'm like, "Who the fuck's Deathstroke? It looks like Slade." And my boyfriend's like, "Yeah, that's the same
is
guy."
Slade.
And I'm like, "Oh,
Yeah, that's his name is Wade Wilson.
yep." I didn't know that. I was a little late to that party. What about you, Lip?
This is a hard one. Okay. Comic book wise, hands down, obviously Spider-Man. My entire life is Spider-Man. Movies, Spider-Man has had a really tough go at it.
Yeah,
as far as
like which version of Spider-Man?
Exactly.
Miles
yeah.
Morales.
Definitely
The
Miles
dance
Morales,
scene?
even though he hasn't. Oh God, no.
The fucking movie.
But I would say, as far as films, what have already come out, and what is in the public eye has definitely been. You know what? That was a movie, so it would be Miles Morales. I didn't even think about it. Thank you, Yanni. You definitely answered that question for me. Miles Morales would be great. I do think, as far as like cartoons and TV shows, I absolutely love Static Shock. He was absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
Hero Static Shock.
Yes.
I'm gonna say.
Oh!
I remember watching that. Like, yeah,
It's
watching that
so
on TV.
good.
Good, yeah.
So, someone in chat. Oh, it's Kelvin in chat. He's Beast Boy Raven OTP. Yes, Beach. Yes. Nightwing, Batgirl. That's the one thing I will argue with you on. No, Nightwing and Starfire, or get the fuck out.
Oh my gosh, we have to now we have a whole additional question of OTPs.
I mean, I love Beast Boy. He's definitely top 3 characters. He's so adorable. What about you guys? What are your top 3 or absolute favorites? Even it could be animated, comic, or movies.
For me, definitely. I mean, like the easy answer is Batman.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like for me. I would say definitely my number 1. I know Batman's kind of like a stereotypical answer, but Batman is where I have most of my
Batman
life
pisses
invested.
me off, but we'll go there another day.
Is this your comic book answer or like your movie answer? 'Cause
Yeah,
my
yeah,
movie
yeah.
answer is like
My
50.
comic book answer. I don't love. Batman's movie I'm saying like I like the Batman movies, but if you were like, who's your favorite Batman movie? Batman, I'm like, everybody's kind of
not really. Yeah,
there's nobody who stands out.
It's Michael Keaton. That's why.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yep.
If I had to pick one, I'd probably pick Michael Keaton.
I would go with that. Yep.
But Marvel-wise, it's definitely Wolverine.
Yes, I'm in that court.
And I'm going to say a controversial statement.
Oh.
I never really cared for Hugh Jackman Wolverine.
How dare you!
Yeah.
How dare you!
Did you see Logan?
I hate it. Yeah.
I mean, Logan
How
is great.
dare
It's good.
you!
It's a good movie.
But when now everybody's like, there could never be another Wolverine. I'm like, I would like to see another Wolverine now.
No.
Yeah.
No. I can't.
Well, now you're gonna get X-23.
My Canadian heart
I
can't.
don't dislike him. I'm just saying, like, he became more Wolverine over time. Like, X1, he's not really Wolverine.
No.
By Logan, he, like, figured out Wolverine.
Yeah,
Like,
Logan
the
was
character
great.
of
Logan
Wolverine
was great, yeah.
in the comics versus in the movies is very different.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's be honest. The first X-Men Wolverine version was awful.
Is it controversial to say I love Rogue?
No.
No.
I think that the comic book Rogue is way cooler than what
Yeah.
she's been
I
in
love
films.
all iterations of Rogue. Rogue has always been my favorite, like X-Men, Marvel.
They kind of
can't
underused Rogue though. They kind of underused Rogue in the movies.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel
And-
she was so underused.
Yeah, she
Yeah, I
was
agree
really
with
like
that.
you
Put
put
spoilers
it in the
away,
background.
but possible that Rogue would probably come back, especially now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I need a Rogue
So-
movie.
You
the
may
best
just
X-Men
get
character is
Rogue.
definitely Nightcrawler.
Ooh.
Because if you can
Oh
vamp,
yes,
vamping is the best.
yes.
Like,
Literally put the
Plus he's
thing on the
German.
map.
Yeah.
So he's
yeah,
got a cool
vamping.
accent.
I mean,
Yeah, like-
Lip and Kristy, you guys know how excited I got when my Sunday character learned to bamf. Like,
Yes.
it's all because of Nightcrawler, because Nightcrawler is the best.
To me, like, I like the X-Men, but to me, the X-Men is like Wolverine and Nightcrawler, and that's it. Like,
Wolverine and
everybody-
Rogue.
it's like Wolverine and Nightcrawler are like so up here, and then all the other X-Men.
That's
the
me
X-Men
with,
around.
Wolverine and Rogue. And yeah, Nightcrawler's up there too. Probably my top 3 is those 3.
Yeah,
For sure.
Nightcrawler is definitely my favorite movie character, even though he's only been in one movie.
I know.
Like, he's
No,
just
he was in
know.
one of the new ones, right?
Oh, he was?
No, yeah.
He was the younger
Yeah,
version.
I
Yeah,
haven't-
yeah.
Yeah, it was like
Oh,
young.
oh, okay, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
but I like him in the older movies. Honestly, I didn't really.
Yeah,
enjoy
Alan Cumming
Apocalypse,
is amazing.
So
Yeah.
All right, how about
No,
like
Nightcrawler.
favorite villains? We
Best.
kind of touched on Slade a little bit. That's probably one of
Deathstroke
my
is pretty
favorite.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, my favorite from, and this is the only comic book I've ever read. I specifically found it in my college library of comics. Has to be Shade from the Flash series.
Oh.
He's kind of the anti-hero sort of thing because he has like a town he protects, but mostly he's a villain and he shows up in the Injustice League, which shows up in the Justice League that Netflix had for a while, the animated series.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, he is. I don't like his comic or his like animated portrayal. It looks stupid, but him in the comics, I've read like his origin story is really, really cool, and I was gonna cosplay him because he's awesome. And then I decided to do a video game character instead. But
I mean,
Zero from Borderlands. How can you say no to that? Like,
Yeah, that's true.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's pretty good.
yeah, no, Shade, Richard Swift. He is my favorite by far because he's the only one I really know, and also he's cool.
what about you guys?
I don't know. That's hard for me since Russell already said Batman. Like I'm a huge Batman fan, of course. But I guess if I had to choose like a top 5, my second one right under that would probably be Green Lantern. Green Lantern was always really cool to me, but probably Kyle Rayner as Green Lantern was probably the best. Like that wasn't bad. The Green Lantern movie itself wasn't bad. I don't think it was. But Green Lantern in general, when it came out, it was so Well, when the comic came out, not the movie.
Gotcha.
But when the comic came out, it was such a different like aspect. Of, like all of our emotions have these color spectrums, and they're all
I like the
different
concept
planets.
of Green Lantern for sure.
Comics itself is really good, and I really love the Green Lantern series, and the way that it's going in now, it's really good. But Kyle Rayner would probably be my favorite Green Lantern. But as my least favorite comic book character, are we just saying least favorite comic book character?
We're talking about favorite character and favorite hero and villain.
Favorite hero and villain. Villain wise, that's a hard one.
I know.
Like all of Arkham City.
Yeah, you can literally say
like,
Batman's entire rogues gallery.
Yeah, you can say Batman entire rogues gallery, but
that's a lot of the reason why I love Batman is because like Batman's really good, but like Batman's got all the best villains.
Yeah, because they all have
Poison Ivy, Joker, Mr. Freeze, Scarecrow, Two-Face, Slade, Deathstroke, Killer Croc. As I look over to my left,
I can tell you're like
I was listing them off.
I don't know. That's hard because
I like Trigon from Raven's backstory.
Raven's dad.
Yeah,
Raven's
that's a really
dad.
cool
He
story.
like that whole story. I don't know. I really liked it.
Yeah.
Another one of my favorite characters who's not technically a villain. It depends on the storyline. But Ettrick the Demon is a character I really love. And he's like anywhere between like anti-hero to villain, depending on how they use him. But he's such an interesting character. The fact that he rhymes can get annoying, but done well.
Yeah, I've done well. Yeah.
There was a recent run. It was like a 6-issue miniseries. I forget what it was called about Ettrick, where they added the thing where he only rhymes when he's like enjoying himself, and this whole time he was like depressed.
Aww.
So like
poor boy.
he wasn't rhyming at all until like it was time to kill something, and then he started rhyming. But I love
Kelvin says Reverse Flash.
Reverse Flash is pretty good.
Yeah.
Hi, Kel.
I'm gonna throw Darkseid.
Darkseid, really?
Yeah, Darkseid is
Darkseid.
interesting.
I will go Darkseid over Thanos any day. Fight me.
Oh, come on.
Well, okay, here's the thing. I feel like that's not an even balance. I think if we're talking about anything, it would be Darkseid versus Galacticus.
Galactus, I mean.
But it's because they basically ripped the character off. You always got to compare.
I have another question about this. The amount of character ripping and who did it first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was pretty much always Marvel ripping off DC.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
get wrecked, Lip! Get wrecked!
I have a couple of things, aka Captain Marvel, literally.
Okay, you got Captain Marvel 1. First of all, Captain Marvel wasn't even by DC. It was written by somebody else who then bought him.
Yeah,
But, like,
sure.
you have your one example compared to, like, the hundreds of other...
I won't say that they're not good at taking things. They literally do it so well that they make a joke out of it, aka Deadpool instead of Deathstroke.
Originally, let's say, Deadpool, when he first started out, when he was drawn by Rob Liefeld, Rob Liefeld. That's a whole other discussion. But, like, Deadpool started out as just a bland Merc ripoff.
Right.
Yeah.
And then it wasn't until Rob Liefeld got the character taken away from him.
Deadpool finally found his own. He's not just a carbon copy.
What I love, because speaking of, when they did the New 52 reboot, they did a Deathstroke solo comic, and it was really great for about a trade's worth.
Yeah.
Then they handed the book over to Rob Liefeld, and he did such a bad job with it, they canceled the whole book on issue 2.
Wow!
Another big thing that a lot of people either don't know of or can't see, like we were talking about Swamp Thing. There's Swamp Thing, and then there's Man Thing.
Yep.
Which is pretty much
Man Thing.
Which is pretty much it's the same. It's the same fucking thing, except like not protector of the green, but he is still a moss-covered green creature with tendrils coming out.
I
of
love
his
watching
mouth.
lips squirm.
I am Swamp Thing. I am
It's a
protector
disastrous
of the
comic book.
green.
I'm sorry for anybody who
I am Man
likes
Thing,
Man
protector
Thing,
of the
but
deeper forest green.
Yeah.
I will say that Marvel takes a lot of very interesting risks that hardly ever pay off. Some of the characters they created, I'm just like, wow, that was a real stretch. I don't know if you guys saw Arm Fall Off Man.
I've heard of that
which is
one.
ridiculous.
I've heard of that. I haven't seen it, but I've heard of it.
Oh, it's even
And
better.
then
It's even
there's
better
Paintball.
because he's not Arm Fall Off Man. He's Arm Fall Off Boy.
Oh,
He's Arm Fall Off Boy.
Wow.
that's even more disturbing.
I have his first appearance. It's in Secret Origins number 1 or 2. He's literally in a panel. He is first of all, he's like yellow reptilian skinned. He wears
It's
like
like, ooh, that's
fishnets and is like a pink
purple
leotard.
headdress, right?
I mean, I love
And, like,
fishnets. I can't be
His
mad at
arm comes
fishnets.
off, and he hits people with it. That's what he does.
I mean, you got to use your strengths.
That was my answer when we were discussing questions earlier, and I said
your
favorite
arms.
like obscure character. He was on my list.
He was your
Yeah.
Actually, for my favorite villain, I had a very obscure answer and I had a very serious answer. My obscure answer, and I will go to my grave saying this, my favorite villain as far as Marvel is concerned is Assassin Monkey.
It would be. It would be. You motherfucker, it would be.
I would say when reading Deadpool, it was the most amazing page turner that I've ever read in my entire life because the monkey literally doesn't say anything but just has this massive artillery of just weapons and nobody knows why the hell this monkey is so angry and just offing people across the city. That to me was the most ridiculous but also the most interesting just comic to read. And then also in the DC world, very serious that I thought was super deep and cool is the female Joker that is Bruce Wayne's mother.
Martha Wayne
Yeah.
Joker.
Oh.
Yeah, Martha Wayne's
Yeah,
Joker.
I don't think I know that one.
Amazing.
No.
Flashpoint. Flashpoint is ridiculously good, and it was such a great turn on characters. Like seeing Wonder Woman. Yeah, seeing Wonder Woman as this I don't know if you guys watched the animated version of Flashpoint, but that was one of the most cringy, not cringy, but one of the most shocking moments to me, seeing Wonder Woman go up to Shazam, which is now all the kids. It's not just Billy Baxter, but it's all the kids, and she straight up just takes her rope and it pulls up Billy Baxter by the throat, and then that's it. I was like, what the hell just happened?
Yeah.
She just killed him by straight up hanging him. I was like, this is nuts.
It's dark.
That
whole slightly less dark. Doctor Doom is pretty cool.
Of course.
Again, not the movie.
No, not the movie. No. The best thing I would definitely recommend if you guys haven't read him, Books of Doom.
Yeah.
It was a 4 or 5 part miniseries where Doctor Doom himself is giving an interview and tells his whole life story. Pretty awesome. I also think I definitely would say king of all villains, Mark Hamill Joker.
Yeah. Animated Joker.
Animated
Joker.
Sure.
It's a classic.
It works.
Just to me, I don't know. There's no better than Mark Hamill as the Joker for me.
I don't know. I like villain wise. I have so many. I'm a really big lover of villains. I have more villain stuff than I do probably of actual heroes. But I don't know. I would say I'm gonna bring it up, and it's just because obviously it's in the media right now. But Thanos, comic book wise, Thanos is great. His portrayal of his character is so good, and I was really hoping they would throw death in there, but of course, getting into the entities and things like that, it's really hard to do that. But his character development in the comic Infinity Gauntlet was so well put, and I still can't get past like how well they even did with the movies, but Thanos in general, man, like I can't get past him not being like one of my favorite like villains. It has to be like Thanos, Magneto.
Yes.
Yeah, Magneto is like a great villain to me, and probably Sinestro itself too from Green Lantern. Sinestro is also a great villain to me.
I feel like it's tough with Marvel in a lot of ways. Not to say that DC doesn't do it. I think that DC does it best with Batman, and this is something I've told everybody. I'm not a big fan of DC, but like Batman's villains will always trump any argument that I will ever have as far as Marvel. But the thing that I love so much about Marvel is that they're really, as much as you follow a lot of the tropes of like what a hero is and what a villain is, most of Marvel is such a massive gray area. And there never really is like, even the characters that you say this is absolutely a bad guy, there's at least 3 issues to describe why they wouldn't be. Same thing with heroes. You're just like, oh yeah, this person is completely altruistic. You're like, here's at least 5 comic books where he's just like completely the worst, and he fights with this, and they actually investigate what that human ability that we just can't be perfect on either side. I think Marvel does it a lot to make it hard for you to say there's a good villain.
Yeah, like I definitely agree. Yeah, DC is really about like our villains are evil.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that. Some of them have tragic, but I mean, you get like your Mr.
Right.
You have like
with his wife.
With Marvel, they definitely got like with going back to Doctor Doom. Like Doctor Doom seems like really hardcore, like even dictator, but at the same time,
sorry,
Doctor Doom like took over Latveria because it was under such like a terrible dictatorship that he's like, I'm gonna make it better under my rule. Actually,
I feel like Marvel wants their villains to be like empathetic, like you want you to empathize with them versus DC. It's like, no, let's get rid of these fuckers.
Has anybody ever read the Spider-Man 9/11 issue?
No.
Yep.
Yes.
The moment,
great issue.
Moment where it's a great issue if you haven't read it, but there's a moment where it shows the villains in the wreckage, and like I forget what the line is, something where it says basically something like even the most hardened of people like have hearts, and it's just like it's a close up of Doctor Doom's like eye plate, and there's one tear coming out of it.
Yeah,
and it gets me every time.
Ow!
There's actually bringing both together. Oh man, I'm so upset that I totally had this in my notes of what to mention. There's a series that an independent comic book artist and illustrator created that talked about all the events that happened at Pulse. And they had this book that will go back to the events that happened at Pulse. And one of the most shocking, I'll try and see if I can find the notes and put it up here before the stream is over. But Love is Love. Thank you. Love is the comic. And there's an issue, a particular short story that has Batman going into the club of Pulse to try and see if he can figure out what happened. And it's just heart-shattering to like get to the end of that story where Batman's just sitting in that club and he's like, I can't fix this. I can't. There's no solution. I can't save this.
That's another reason why I love Batman so much, is they do a lot of very real emotional stuff with Batman. Like there's a book called Batman Ultimate Evil. It's a novel where there's no big villain in a costume or anything. There's nothing. Like the whole thing is basically Batman's war on this child sex ring in Gotham.
Yeah.
And like even Batman has like a monologue in it where he's like, there's no clown in makeup to punch. I can't punch this problem away.
Right.
So powerful, man.
I'm torn on Batman because like mainly because I don't watch or read the comics or anything yet, but I do know that he's more of a developed character. But with like the animated series and just like in general with the movies, they make him so emo and broody, and I just want to punch him in the face. I'm like, stop being a dick to dick. Like, leave my Robin Nightwing alone. Quit being an asshole and let him live his life. Like, I get so angry at Batman because I'm so protective of Robin and Dick Grayson.
That's the thing.
Dick Grayson's my baby. Leave him alone.
the best way I can describe that, which is like, yeah, Batman is an asshole.
He's such an asshole. He's such an asshole. I have to say it. I love the Batman series, but he's such an asshole.
One of my favorite Batman quotes is when he's talking about Superman, and he's like, "Our fundamental differences are deep down. Clark is a good person, and deep down, I'm not."
Yeah. Yep.
Like Batman knows what he is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just wish he could just stop living in the past and live in the present for one day.
Well, if he could, then
one
he
day.
Did you hear
that,
just give him one day. Yeah, Maxine fucking lived one day. Fucking
he loved somebody enough to have a son. So I mean, it's
and then he treats his son like shit.
To have a son.
And then he just treats his son like shit.
In a League of Assassins bunker to have a child.
It's there. And actually talking about that is that I think now, kind of pivoting it, I think now in comics, especially how they're writing them now, if you look at the new series that they have called Dark Metal, it's actually really good, and it shows Batman in a light that I really enjoyed. It's a really great series, and quick thing about it is that Batman ends up with alternate realities, and there's all different versions of himself. There's a Green Lantern version.
Spider-Verse.
Yeah. So there's a Green Lantern version. There's a Flash version. There's a Joker version. And he's all in this kind of world where he's he has to kind of attribute to his sins and he has to see that through. He's these people all exist within your mind, and it's because of your emotions, and it's because of how you hold things. And I feel like they've done a little bit better job of getting that through, where it's no, Bruce isn't just this asshole with a whole bunch of money and he has 10 million gadgets and he's gonna save the world all the time by just punching things. No, it's it really does show him in these specific issues that he is just a man, and he can be mentally broken down to the point of he has nowhere to go to.
Yeah.
And it's and he can't do it by himself. And
I
he
definitely feel
that.
more weight and more emotional investment in terms of the Batman and the DC universes versus Marvel. Even with the Marvel movies, the Infinity War and the Endgame stuff happening, it pulls up my heartstrings, but it's a little bit different with the DC Batman thing.
Yeah,
just feels heavier.
They worked on it. Yeah, because they worked on it, and
I wish they could convey that in the fucking movies. Fuck.
I have the movie for you then, Batman: Mask of the Phantasm.
Yeah,
that's a good one.
That does all that.
Yeah.
I would have. Okay, so I'm looking at it. We're moving into this section.
We should answer more questions.
Yeah. I figured this was going to happen.
We're talking about Batman from now until...
I know. I figured this was going to happen. I'm sorry.
What I have noticed a lot is that with the ping-ponging between independent comics, Marvel, and DC, there's a lot of different shifts of who kind of takes the spotlight after a while. We definitely can say that because of the last 3-4 years, Marvel has made a huge shift of where they were going with film, and they kind of took over in film. Comics, I like that there's no clear winner in comic books anymore. I think that there's a lot of booming. There's a lot more people picking up comic books and reading them. And there's a lot, because of that, there's a lot more content that comes out, and a lot more pushing to try and make things make sense, and just be interesting and intriguing. And then there's video games and television, which I will definitely say, for me at least, I feel like DC is picking up really well on television. I personally don't like them, but I understand watching them. They're really they do.
I feel like
the
DC has the television and animated game on lock for sure.
Yeah.
Versus the movies, which Marvel has clearly taken.
Yeah. And see, that's the point too, that I have a group of friends, when we talk about this literally all the time, where it's you look at the movies that Marvel is making now. Actually, Marvel was on the verge of bankruptcy.
Yes.
Literally on the verge of bankruptcy before these movies came out 10 years ago. and they didn't know if it was really going to end up happening after the really thwarted.
It was the last kind of Hail Mary that they did.
Yeah, like Iron Man was really like the last point of being like, okay, well.
By the way, spoilers, guys. If you haven't watched any of these movies or caught up, get the fuck out. Okay, thanks.
But like in turn, like
spoilers,
the next...
Batman's parents die.
Oh shit!
What? Spoilers, Uncle Ben.
But in turn, it's like 10 years it took for Marvel like to really set their roots in. Like, so we know that Marvel does movies really well, and what I always saw is that DC, like, they're oversaturating right now with all these shows, but what they've always done, and I've only had a couple where I don't really like, is they do awesome within their DC animation department.
Yes.
Like, DC animated movies are beyond, like...
Yes.
I have plenty of them, and I've seen way more better ones than I have bad ones.
Same.
And they can really do a great Batman story. They can really do a great Green
Justice
Lantern.
League,
They can do Justice League, like Doom.
Young
Doom
Justice.
was a great. Yeah, Young Justice. Like their animation department on their movies and on their anime, and like they do really well.
The one problem I have with their animated movies is the actual animation itself. Recently, they went with this. They've made them all look the same style, and I think that style doesn't look great.
Yeah, you can definitely see that. Like we were just talking about that. Like they just now just came out with Death of Superman and Reign of Superman, which is the recent one they just came out with. And yeah, I was a little disappointed in the animation style that they did with that, because it was definitely like not really detailed lines. It was just like quick, like little, like, okay, here's his face, here's his pecs, there's the outline of his body. That's it.
And I was like, when they did Killing Joke, they were like, we're gonna...
Oh, we lost one.
Oh,
okay.
Annie, okay?
Yeah, she just said she'd be right back.
Oh, okay.
I didn't hear that.
Oh,
well, she just it's in the chat there.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh. What was I saying? Killing Joke. When they did Killing Joke, they were like, we're going to do Killing Joke, but we're going to take the beautiful artwork from the comic, and we're going to shit it down to the level of King. I saw an interview where they're like, well, we tried to mix the art of the comic and our art style. So it's like, you took the art of the comic and shit it all over it with your shitty way you've been doing things. And then you added half an hour of unnecessary background.
Oh my god, I hated that. I was so excited for Killing Joke I watched it in the theaters. It was an event. Went to the theater. I was so excited, and then we get that first half hour of Batman being in this romantic relationship with Batgirl. I was like, this never happened. This didn't need to happen. This is weird.
Start that movie literally 30 minutes in. Yeah. Fine.
Then it starts. Yes,
they were like, well, we all know what happens.
Speaking of movies that pissed me off in the first 5 minutes, Infinity War.
Really?
Killing Loki? Are you kidding me? I wanted to rage quit. I was like, my boyfriend just looked at my face, and I was just like, why am I still sitting here? I want to leave. I was so mad.
My biggest problem was Infinity War. We didn't get the answer either, like that I want to know. Everything in Infinity War. What the fuck happened to Korg? Where is Korg? He's the only one I care about.
Korg, what happened to Valkyrie? Valkyrie just disappeared.
Yeah, where'd he
go? Well, the ship blew up, and then that turns the ship blew up, and
oh my god, they haven't pulled you off.
Yeah, and all we know is that Thor is the only one.
I just want Loki back, okay? That's all I want.
Valkyrie has survived ships exploding numerous times.
I don't care. Korg.
Loki.
I mean, can they breathe in space? Can everybody there breathe in space?
I know he's a rock person.
He did, maybe? Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That would be my first question. Be like,
I'm a living thing here. You know?
I'm going to pause on this because I am getting dangerously close to talking about details of Captain Marvel, and we have specific...
Yeah, I haven't watched it yet. I can't. We haven't watched it yet.
You shut your whore mouth.
I watched it. I won't say anything, but
yes,
I liked it.
And that's, for that reason, there was a question... for that reason, there was a question that we were going to touch on, being like, what do we see for Endgame? There's no way we can talk about Endgame without talking about Marvel.
That's true.
There's no way to do that. I'm sorry.
Guys.
I'm saying this right now. There's no Korg. Fuck you, I want my money back.
If you don't bring Loki back, fuck you, I want my money back.
I don't think Loki's coming back.
No, don't.
He looks pretty good. He looks pretty
Are they doing a Loki TV show?
Just give me Loki. That's all I
That
want.
Tom Hiddleston is gonna narrate, but he's not gonna be in it.
Yeah.
This is something that I feel like it's to kind of talk about for me, because I don't. And when we talk about best characters and we talk about best villains, for me, crap, Captain Marvel, god darn it. One of my favorite issues that I've been kind of passionate about, that I do think will work really well as a movie, as a animated series. I don't think it's going to ever get an animated series or a TV show, but Young Avengers has some amazing plot points, and the way that they move and transition from what we are actually seeing cinematically into what could potentially be the future, and all the stuff that they're actually even kind of touching on in the movies really do kind of play to that fan service of what we can expect from the future of the movies, because we do know that obviously these actors can't be in these roles for the
Forever,
rest of their lives.
Yeah.
So having the next generation come in, I would love to see this world. I would love to see how they kind of plan it, and it kind of gives impetus for what Marvel wants to push forward as this new kind of life. And it's even cooler that they have Miles Morales as its own identity, because even him coming in as a young Avenger member, it's such a cool kind of way to see how this new world can actually come in, and we don't have to see these standard Iron Man has to be Iron Man, Captain America has to be Captain America, Batman has to be Batman. There's so many different variations that you can do to create the same concept of what the character meant to these people.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
I would like to pose the question: what is everybody's specific favorite comic, their storyline or
storyline?
Whether it be
a whole
what's your favorite story?
I haven't really read
40 issues.
Yeah, I haven't really read any of the comics, but I think probably one of my favorite storylines is with Tara. Anything to do with Tara's storyline, I loved it so much. I can rewatch that 1,000,000 times in any iteration of Justice or the Teen Titans. Tara's story in general, I just love it. So that'd be mine.
It's hard for me. I definitely, because I like talking about the Young Avengers, I like everything we talked about was in the first initial series. We have the fact that not every superhero is good. As a matter of fact, many of them have this deep rooted of evil within them that they have to fight against. The topics that they have to face with on top of just being a hero, they also have to deal with the politics of what area or lands they're from, their country politics, the real world implications of things. I like that lore and that plot, but I think to me, if we're honing in on a specific issue, I don't want to give it away to anybody. It's not giving away too much, but Wiccan and Hulking's relationship in Young Avengers near the end of their series, before the new series came out, and how they went about finding who their parents were and why they came to existence, in the sense of what that depression can do to you, how they talked about mental health for Wiccan, and just wanting to feel like he belongs somewhere, even though he knows that he's a superhero. He's why am I this? Is Thor my parent? Is this person my parent? Where am I coming from? It's such a powerful piece to me. And then when he actually finally finds out who his parents are, I was bawling. To me, that was really, really good writing.
Yeah.
What about you, Ani?
I also haven't really done anything with the comics, other than, as I said, Shade. But I think even though that is sort of my only experience with it, it's a super interesting storyline. Because I find I love sort of backstories and stuff like that. And so hearing like the book that I read was his backstory and how Shade came to be, how Richard Swift became Shade, and like, so I don't know, I love that kind of the backstory stuff. So yeah, I don't know, really anything that like sort of explains heroes' origins.
Yeah.
I love that kind of story arc.
Because who doesn't like a good comic book story that gives these characters like a humanizing aspect?
Yeah,
because that's what
it rounds out the character for sure.
Yeah.
Because that's what we all look at. I feel like is like with these superheroes, it's like they have all these powers and ultimate abilities, but in the end, they're still human.
And you're looking for that relation, like something you can relate to, like even on like a surface level or a deeper level. Because like surface level, they're heroes, but on the deeper level, they're human. They're more than just their powers,
or from Krypton, or all the and I think that's
what the key with Superman is, even though he's from Krypton, he wants to be human. Which makes him. So Superman is interesting because like he has to be done right, or he's like totally vanilla born.
Yeah, he's a piss baby. I don't like him.
I love him when he's done right, but he's very.
I don't like him.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting, like looking at like people who read comics when they were growing up and like identified with it, and like that idea of anyone can be a superhero. Like, I think that's really cool, and so I think that's why I'm drawn to backstories. It's like that sort of, obviously there's like magical bits involved and that kind of thing, but it sort of gives you that idea, like anybody can be a superhero. And I think one reason that I find that more in like, because I've done a little bit of like, just learned a little bit about like the rogues gallery and that kind of thing, is a lot of times like heroes are this, like they're aliens or they're, like super rich or that kind of thing. A lot of times if you look at villains, or at least like some, not all of them, obviously I haven't read all that much, but like it's normal people.
Yeah.
And so I think that's one reason why like I like sort of like the anti-hero or that kind of thing. It's just they're more often
trauma triggers and changes.
Yeah.
And
also if you look at like how some of the villains, like they still stand up to people with superpowers or people with a lot of money or stuff like that. Like even though like what they're doing they feel is right. And so you get that whole like morality thing, but it's just interesting that like everyone.
That's why I love Tara for sure, because she plays both sides so well, and she has her own personal motivations for it, because she feels so alone and so isolated, even though she's clearly not the only one with superpowers, but she still feels alone even when she's with the Titans. Like it doesn't matter, and that's more of her mental side of things. And Slade or Deathstroke really plays to that side of her and just manipulates the fuck out of it, because he's been there and done that and uses it for his own gain. So yeah, it's totally, I totally agree with that.
Like I think there's no more prime example of the human spirit's dedication than the fact that every morning Lex Luthor gets up, rubs his bald head and goes, fuck you, Superman.
Yep. He has a little calendar of like...
the fact that he's like, sees this guy and he's like, fuck you. Okay?
Just fuck you.
You think you're better than me? You're not better than me.
I love that.
Fuck you to the next movie.
Right? Him waking up and just having a calendar of like how many days he's failed and just striking out. It's like, I got one more day to do it, and he crosses it out. I got
one more day.
Lex Luthor goes to therapy, sits down on his therapist's couch, and is like, it's fucking Superman. and then
the therapist is like, but why Superman?
She's like, Lex, why don't we talk about
your father,
maybe your
daddy
parents?
issues.
No. Superman.
My dad's an asshole, but fuck Superman.
We're not going to get into the fact that I orchestrated my own parents' death. Fuck Superman.
Lex, it's been 7 years. Can we talk about anything else? No.
I think it all comes down to the fact that Superman's got that sweet curl, and he's like...
Yeah, he's hella jealous. He's got that thick hair.
Like, I have all the money in the world, but I'm still bald.
Just needs that Kryptonian hair product.
Still a human nutsack.
To your point, too, Ani, I definitely see that particular concept beautifully written out, and I will say, now that we've kind of gotten past the Black Panther kind of like excitement and introduction, there are some like pieces that I would like to have seen like develop more. But Kilgrave. Killgrave. Kilgrave is Jessica Jones.
I almost said Killmonger. I was like, that's not right either.
Killmonger is amazing when you think about the fact that this is somebody who, in his world, in his mind, and in his community, he is a hero. Mm-hmm. And he's going up against a villain. And at no point, even as the readers, even as the watcher, you do not think he's wrong. You're like, I completely understand. Even the hero sits there and just like, man.
That's why the most interesting villains don't think they're villains.
Yeah.
Like Lex Luthor, going back to that analogy, Lex Luthor thinks that Superman is like a threat to the human race, and that's why in his mind, he's like, this is what I'm doing. And another prime example, did anybody ever read the storyline Doom War?
No.
So Doom War is basically Dr. Doom decides, like, that's it. The world is going to be destroyed, and I'm the only one who can save it. And it's basically about Doom's relationship with Black Panther, T'Challa, and basically he's been Victor Von Doom gets this vision that the world is going to be destroyed, and he's like, the only way I could save the world is under my rule. So he's like, and the only way I could do that is by stealing all the vibranium from Wakanda. So he goes to Wakanda, and like the Wakanda vault has like a gajillion and 7 different locks, including like, weird puzzles. You gotta like blood thing, whatever. But the last thing is you literally have to go into the shadow realm, like the spirit realm, and the Panther God has to like deem your intentions.
Yeah.
And then so when Doom steals all the vibranium, they're like, how did he ever like trick the Panther God? And then it shows that Doom was like, Panther God, I have this vision, the world is going to be destroyed, the only way I can save it is through me. And the Panther God's like, okay. Seems legit to me. So in his mind, Victor Von Doom is like, I am saving the world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We were talking about favorite stories.
Yeah.
Yeah. I asked that question and then didn't give my...
Well, my favorite storyline was the Terra Slade betrayal to the Teen Titans Beast Boy thing. That's,
My favorite story is probably... It's hard. I won't say Batman, because Batman, I feel like it's too easy on my part. I really do love Batman. There's a whole bunch of stories.
There's so many. Yeah,
there's so many.
Like we're talking like favorite arcs, I guess. Like story arcs.
My favorite, absolutely, and I keep mentioning it's just because it's so good, is Blackest Night by it's a Green Lantern storyline. And Blackest Night is beyond something that was just... It was so cool and so well written, and we're talking about like when you're like talking about the story's emotions in that story alone. Like you're coming to a point to where part of the Justice League is already dead. Superman, Batman, I want to say Wonder Woman 2 is already dead. You get to see the vaults of where they keep villains, their bodies at. And once these bodies start coming back to life because of the death force within inside the Green Lantern's universe, heroes have to come up and actually start. Heroes and villains have to come out and start fighting this force of death that is trying to bring back loved ones, villains, and also heroes to go against the world. And so one of the coolest parts in there, and I thought was really nice, is that the whole team starts forming up, and the team is Mira from Aquaman, Lex Luthor, Scarecrow, and the Flash, and somebody else. But the funny thing is that they all get actual power rings. So Scarecrow becomes part of the Sinestro Corps.
What?
He becomes Fear.
Yeah.
Mira becomes Rage.
He goes bonkers for like a good 4 panels where he's like, I am a fiend.
Oh God.
Lex Luthor becomes Avarice, which is greed, the orange power ring, and so he becomes
How appropriate.
Yeah, and he becomes a fucking lunatic. In that
They have the best. But of all the Green Lantern Corps, the Orange Corps has the best motto. It's literally like, what's yours is mine. What's mine is mine. Mine. That's their chant.
And it's only one person in the Orange Corps too, and it's LaFreeze. And he's a goat. Oh. He's a goat that like literally like he has a whole backstory too. They made a one shot of his backstory that's really good because he actually has a family, and it's like the reason why he got the Orange Lantern is because he came to his world and all that stuff. But one of the special moments in that is Mira actually becomes a Red Lantern, which is Rage. And the Rage one is like, it was kind of different because it was like, well, Mira is like Aquaman's world. She's supposed to be like very like kind of utilitarian and very stoic, but
I love that.
But what she sees coming up out of the water in front of her to actually have her get the Red Ring was her son and Arthur, Aquaman himself, come up, and they're both decayed, and they're both like, we love you, Mira, like, why won't you come with us? It was like, it was just very like,
it's real fucked up.
Just really like, it's really fucked up part, because the whole thing with this Death Force is they come for your heart. So they want people's hearts because it's full of emotion and it's full of things like that. And so once she sees that, she gets this blind rage, and the ring comes shooting down onto her hand, and it's like Mira of Sector so. It's like, you are now initiated for the Red Corps, and she just goes ape shit. Like, she becomes like this huge red mass and starts destroying everyone. It's a great comic, and it's like when we're talking about humanistic abilities between these people and between heroes and not only villains, like Blackest Night, I feel like does a really good job of that. And it's like, and it's also like a cool comic to see all these different, like, you see Superman, you see Flash, you see Deadman, you see all like these obscure but also really familiar like comic book characters, and I think it's a great series to read. It's always will be like top 5 favorite.
One of the ones that we got from chat from Boxville, which is a really cool one, is Black Mirror, where Dick Grayson takes on the mantle of Batman. I got a chance to see a couple of pieces of that one. It was pretty deep. Just playing to your heartstrings, Kristy.
Oh, my BB. My BB.
Oh yeah, I got a chance to see some of the pieces of that, and I think that it's interesting. I'm always curious how like Dick Grayson's storyline of following in the footprints of his mentor always plays out.
Yeah, wasn't there an animated movie where he did that? And then was it Batgirl or Batwoman? Was it Batwoman, Batgirl? Someone knew it wasn't Batman because like Batman apparently died, so he took on the mantle.
I don't know. That's happened a few times.
Yeah. They're like,
Batman's died
and she pretty much like called him out, saying like, you're not Batman, like you're not good enough. You're not like, it was kind of like you're wearing a mask, but like, duh, I can tell it's you. Like, you fuck.
Batman Bad Blood may be the one you're thinking of.
Maybe, but I was like, oh, leave Dick Grayson alone. He's just trying his best. God damn it! Ow! I was reminded also of the fucking Batman Lego movie when they all had to like come together to save the world falling apart. He's like, Joker, without this world you can't beat me. We can't fight. So Joker and Batman saving the Lego world.
Oh my gosh.
Batman is OTP in that movie.
They're so OTP.
Does it
so I guess I have seen that as a DC movie. Green Lantern and Lego Batman.
Lego Batman.
Doesn't he actually come face to face with Jason Todd, and he does lift like a crowbar? Like, doesn't he beat him with a crowbar like at one point? Like, I've never seen the movie, but I was like, I'm pretty sure Jason Todd comes up and he's like,
I was in a comic shop recently, and I saw the greatest T-shirt ever. They didn't have it in my size, but it was literally just a red T-shirt, and it had a picture of a crowbar, that said, "I killed Jason Todd, and all I got was this lousy T-shirt." That is amazing.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
A bloody crowbar. I'm like, this is the best Black humor T-shirt I've ever.
That's good.
To both of you all's point, I think it's interesting, and I definitely do want to make a note of this. DC does a really interesting job of putting the most randomest people together as a team.
Oh yeah,
ever.
Yeah. Once I saw that mashup, I was like, "What the fuck is this?" And then it's like, not only are they all together, it's the fact is now we get to see all their like Green Lantern, like we get to see the Sinestro Corps and the Orange Corps and the Blue Corps, like all of them in different like aspects. From like, and like Russell said, like fucking Scarecrow just goes off and he's like, "I am feared, like hear me roar." Like he's like, "You want bats, and you want bats."
On his own power.
Yeah,
like fear.
But it's
there's the other Justice League too. It's not Justice League. It's like Constantine.
Oh,
like
Justice League
Dracula.
Justice League Dark. Yeah, Swamp Thing, Constantine, Santana.
Deadman.
I saw that. I was like, "What
Ettrick.
the hell is this?"
That's a pretty good. That animated movie, pretty good.
Yeah, it's
so
really
random,
good.
Though.
It made me almost tear up with the Swamp Man part.
Swamp Thing. Yeah.
Yeah, Swamp Thing. Sorry.
You haven't seen that?
Yeah.
See that movie?
Yeah.
So to
One
give
thing
the
we
answer
haven't
to the
talked
question that I answered, was my favorite of all time is Kingdom Come.
Yeah.
Which I don't know if you guys are familiar with Kingdom Come, but it's set sort of in the future, where basically all like the main DC casts, like the Justice League, whatever, are all kind of like older. And basically there was this event where there was this new era of heroes coming in, and the heroes were like, we're going to do what's necessary, we're going to kill people. And Superman's like, no, we're not going to do that. And basically they shun Superman into retirement. And then this new wave of superheroes like goes off like a bunch of rambunctious kids and does whatever they want to do, and they're just like having superhero fights in the streets and whatever. And all of a sudden they're having this one fight in the middle of Kansas, and one guy tears open the atom, splits open the atom, and it literally nukes Kansas. And like literally nukes like the entire Midwest.
Bye, Smallville. Bye, Smallville.
And like Superman has to come out of retirement and start like rounding up
fixing their mess,
the young kids. But it's just really interesting, and it's framed through. It's also the art is done by Alex Ross, who's my favorite artist. Where Alex Ross doesn't draw. Alex Ross paints. He does full paintings of all his characters. If you're not familiar with his work, look it up. It's beautiful.
Chat wants to know, it's just like the really incredibly detailed comic series.
Yeah.
Like the drawing, the drawings themselves are very like.
They look like real. They're almost like real. They're
people.
Paintings. I mean, he literally does painting, but it's done through this framing device of excuse me, Norman McKay, who's just like an average guy. He's a preacher. And the Spectre shows up, and it's like, Norman McKay.
Oh my God, the Spectre is so
you're
good.
the one who has to like bear witness to this, and he has to like, you see it through his eyes and whatever, and it's just a great storyline about like what heroes mean to people, what like new ideologies mean to whatever. The art is fantastic; it has a lot of poignant moments. It's got all the heavy hitters are in it, like Batman. Wonder Woman, Green Lantern, Superman, all like the main DC guys and all the main DC villains are in it. Fantastic. It's great. That's my favorite one.
Cool.
Definitely have to give that a checking out. We have not talked about one medium that may be the hardest to talk about, at least in my opinion. Video games. How do we feel about it? What is our Any favorites?
Right off
Lego
the bat,
games.
the Arkham series.
Yeah, I love the Arkham series.
Man,
too.
that to me, that is my favorite version of Batman because
I feel like this whole thing is just Batman. Where's Marvel at?
Yeah.
Well, the thing is that
I had talked to him.
Yeah, Batman itself is.
I haven't played the new Spider-Man game because I don't
Ah, Spider-Man was fun.
It's good. It's just that one of the things that Batman does as a comic, as a movie series for the time that it was, and as a video game series, it separates itself from so much that it's also out there in the market. Like you all said, the Christopher Nolan films were nothing like we've ever seen, and it was its own kind of genre.
Right.
The Batman games literally set the precedent for what like beat 'em ups are now.
Yeah. What I love about that is it took because for me Batman the Animated Series is my Batman. So what it did was it took Batman the Animated Series and then made it this adult, gritty,
very
version.
adult. I love the just the mechanics of it, and also the investigative side of things as well.
Yeah.
What was that? You hit a certain button and you could just see.
Yeah, it was
as he was
detective mode.
Detective mode. Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you don't cry when Barbara Gordon shoots herself, you don't have a soul.
Yeah. That was.
We're talking about
I would say too that if because Insomniac picked up Spider-Man, it took all the best parts of Arkham in that series and then put its own to it. So it was essentially another Batman game.
It did feel very Batman-y in terms of the
that's what I've
mechanics
heard
and how
about
the gameplay went. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
The one thing that separates
Too bad.
The one thing that separates Spider-Man from any other game for me is just there is a very, I don't know if it's a mental thing or if it's just something that happens, but everybody I've ever talked to about playing a Spider-Man game, there is something that just happens to you when you get the opportunity to swing from building to building that it's a whole new. I spent so much time just swinging from building to building in that game because the mechanics feel so unique.
Fluid.
I don't need to.
Yeah, it's such a fluid. I don't know. It was seamless. It felt very.
It's one of those things that seems those two games did really well, where they make you feel like you are the character.
Yes.
Yes.
In the Arkham games, you feel like you're Batman.
You actually feel like you're punching. Just the impact of every punch, every landing.
I haven't played the Spider-Man game, but I've watched a lot of games. It feels like you get to be Spider-Man. Which is why they're probably so fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What other big video game?
Those are the
Marvel,
two main ones.
Wolf Among Us was a comic.
The Marvel one was kind of weird, right?
Ultimate Alliance. I really.
Ultimate Alliance is a good game.
Yeah, Ultimate Alliance is a good classic.
Yeah,
it was fun because it was you want to be any character ever. They were
You can
and
be.
they all had little. That started up.
Talk about teaming up. You could have teams you could create in Marvel. You could be we got Moon Knight and Spider-Man and
Squirrel Girl.
Yeah.
I like that because it said not only were you able to me that was the first time I started playing with other people and then getting to know oh, you're definitely the Moon Knight type of person, I'm definitely the Spider-Man person, this is the Wolverine person, and we can actually play through the story together. But on top of that, do not quote me, I don't know the proof of this, but it to me was the first time we got a chance to see specific characters getting their story told out depending on who you pick. So you would pick Spider-Man, and if you're in his world or talking to his characters, he would be the specific person that actually steps out and has this conversation with the person that wouldn't happen if you chose somebody different. And to me that was really fun because one, just getting a chance to play with other people in a co-op campaign mode was really fun as your character, but then also to know my character will have this moment that kind of shines out that feels a little bit more like D&D was really, really cool to me. And I got a chance to see lore and backstory stuff. So definitely both Ultimate Alliances, and people aren't gonna like me for saying this, a little bit of X-Men Rise of the Imperfects. You got some cool banter. It failed as a game. I will admit to that. It failed as a game. But what I think Injustice and the NetherRealm Studios kind of direction they took that same kind of grit, but then backstory that they had with Rise of the Imperfects and just like perfected it.
Yeah.
It's been a lot of cash. I will admit, both Marvel and DC, I feel like their comic book video game franchise has just been like this big, huge cash cow.
Yeah.
Like the puzzle quest, the like all the app stuff that happens, a lot of the RPG.
Yeah.
I'm gonna throw another one out there, because even though it's just like a fighting game, the Injustice games,
Injustice Gods Among Us.
Their character designs, their voice actors, their even like the storyline in this like are actually pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Like their character designs kick ass. Their voice actors are always really, and they're fun to play. But it's it's just always like, yeah, I think they're done really well.
Yeah, I remember wanting just to play Injustice when I first saw the trailer. Where I think it was the very first Injustice where. I think it's Batman and the Joker are like talking in a room, and then Superman comes through the wall.
Yeah.
And it's like, "What did you do to Lois?" And he's like, "Oh, what are you talking about?" And then he just straight up fucking rips his heart out, pretty much. Like he shoves his fist into the Joker's chest. It was like, I was like, now I want to see this.
Well, yeah, that's the whole premise.
Story,
New 52, right? It was Flash. Was it Flashpoint that the Injustice?
No, they did Injustice comics after.
No, I wouldn't say that was around New 52.
Oh, okay, because I know that they talked about the idea of like, well, I won't give it. If you haven't played it, then that's fine. I will say, because chat just really activated me, Mortal Kombat versus DC Universe is the worst game on Earth. The worst game on Earth.
What about Marvel versus Capcom?
Oh,
I like them. I think that they're getting more and more. They're getting more and more crappier.
I might have an unpopular opinion because
Capcom.
I played this game at PAX, and I know a lot of people hate Teen Titans Go, but Teeny Titans Go, the mobile app, was actually really fun, and this is what the shirt is, and it's fucking adorable. It's so cute. I can't handle it. It's adorable, and I loved it. Unpopular opinion. Come at me, bro.
I have nothing to go against it. I will say some mobile apps are interesting. I think there's still parts of us that, I don't know if any of you all used to do it, but like when Cartoon Network used to have like their whole game section on their website, and it was shockingly good.
Yes, Cartoon Network has good shit, and like even though I have my opinions about Teen Titans Go, the animated series, I have my own opinions on it. The fact that they have episodes where they make fun of themselves and acknowledge like their previous really like iterations, like even the originals, I'm like, I gotta give them props for that because they acknowledge how fucking awesome the original was.
Yeah, it was absolutely amazing.
So
there's a
like,
bunch of fans that created the second series.
I don't know. As you can tell, Teen Titans, nothing will beat it for me. Batman can get the fuck out. Robin, Nightwing, Teen Titans, or get the fuck out. Go!
But I think because of that same impetus, the moving into mobile apps, there's a lot of us from that same age that started getting phones for the first time, or like actually moved away from PC kind of gameplay to just
like us
gameplay.
As 90s kids getting a mobile app for like Teen Titans or like Batman or anything, and like how amazing and how mind-blowing that would be for nostalgic factor. Like we would love that shit.
It was bad enough that I didn't get enough sunlight with the games that I were playing. You give me a phone and I would never have connection ever again.
We were very lucky as 90s kids. We were forced to go outside and play and use our imaginations and pretend to be those superheroes instead of playing it on the screen. So, I was guilty of playing Power Rangers all the fucking time.
Oh, yeah.
We hit a lot of these next questions actually just casually, but I do want to get to a good one that we danced around, but I want to just straight out ask it.
Sure.
Do you think that this superhero craze will ever die out?
No.
Do you think that this is a fad and it's going to go away?
I do.
I don't think
I do.
so. I think it's going to go in waves. It's much like the vampires, because like the vampire craze was back in the 80s with like Anne Reese and stuff, like Interview with a Vampire kind of faded and then came back with Twilight. It's going to come back. And I feel it's the same way with superheroes. It's going to be a wave. It's going to dull for a little bit and then it's going to come right back. I don't feel like it's ever going to go away.
And it's not necessarily going to be with the same heroes. Like this, there could be sort of at the end of this, like, you know, like Cap and Iron Man and all those, like they sort of die out, but you'll get your next wave. You get your Miles Morales and your, I don't remember her name, but the next Iron Man that they've been drawing, and like you'll get the next generation.
Yeah, for sure. I don't think it'll ever die out fully. No,
because I think like everyone wants to be a hero, and so seeing that written out, and especially now that there's more and more representation in heroes, and it's not just white men who can punch things hard, like you're gonna see more and more people who identify with it, and I think that's really going to keep it going. And that's coming from someone who wasn't into superheroes at all. So
I think it will die to an extent, like you were talking about, like people that have followed maybe the 10-year span of the Marvel Cinematic Universe now. I remember when we went to go first see Iron Man, and we all talked about it, being like, who knows? Like beforehand, like before Iron Man came out, it was like they're just like something justice, but it's not really that good. And we're like, man, whatever. We'll go see Iron Man, see how it turns out. And when it started becoming something really big, and we're like, oh, well, now they're going to do like they just mentioned the Avenger Initiative.
Right. I'm losing a bit.
People that have been around since, it's going to take some time. It's going to take a bit to go back to that after the 10 years. I know for me personally, after Endgame, I'm not going to be as inclined, I feel like, to be like back and start this 10-year journey all over again. I'll still want to go see the movies, and I still want to see these characters develop, but I know it's not for a few other people, that if it does like die down a little bit, it will give back up to its resurgence of being or shown that really resonates within entertainment. So I want to, but it's.
I also feel like on top of that is like our generation. It might fade for ours, but there's gonna be like kids are being born. There's a new generation, like the Generation X. Like they're gonna get their own thing once they're at our age. Like in the next 10 to 15 years, like once our end game kind of settles, I feel like there's definitely going to be another resurgence, because there's going to be new eyes and new youths to consume that type of media.
You also have our generation going on to have kids and then being like, look at all this cool shit.
You have our generation of nerdy shitheads just pushing all of our nerdy shit onto our kids, like 100%. When our kids get old enough.
Yeah, it's like...
Yeah.
You gotta watch...
Yeah. And I definitely agree that, it's gonna, you'll have... I definitely think it's probably, at least, if not the biggest, one of the biggest...
Yes.
That it's ever been right now.
Yes.
And it'll always dip and whatever. But I read something interesting recently. I forget where or who said it, but it was actually in the book. The guy from NPR wrote a book called Batman, The Dark Knight, and the Rise of Nerd Culture. It's about like the history of Batman and then the history of how the world. It's a good book. I forget the guy's name. But he talks about how these characters are now, they have become part of like the human race's mythology. How you would have, you have characters like Zeus, thousands of years ago you had characters like Zeus and Hades and Thor and whatever. And now, we have Batman and Superman and Spider-Man and whatever. They are our modern myths.
Yeah, modern myths and legends.
They'll continue on in all their iterations because, people always say like, oh, well, like they can't really ever do anything new in comics. I'm like, well, yes and no. Technically, if you want to get real, like really nitty gritty, like you can't do anything new ever at all in anything.
Right.
But
you're always inspired from something.
Yeah, like as long as there are people like our generation, younger generation, that are reading these characters. I mean, I'm sure we all here have had like some idea for a comic book or whatever. And eventually, a lot of people in our generation then go on to actually create those things. And it's like with anything else, it'll go on. Mm-hmm. It may, maybe Batman won't. I mean, Batman certainly is not anything like he was in 1939.
No, yeah.
Or
Adam West,
Superman. When he showed up, Superman didn't even fly.
Yeah.
He was able to leap really far. Like, so I think they'll continue to evolve, and new things will come. Like, new generation of I think it's going to start with putting more variety in our known characters, like Miles Morales, Spider-Man, or the new female Iron Man, or I think a great example of bringing in diversity is when they made Blue Beetle, who was a character that sucked and nobody cared about, which, sorry if you loved old Blue Beetle. They made him Jaime Reyes. They made him a Hispanic character, and he's so cool.
He's really cool.
He's definitely like, and so I think we'll see. I'm hoping that we'll eventually get, instead of like every time you see like that BuzzFeed article, like, what if they make Superman black? It's like, I think eventually we'll get away from that and we'll start creating our new characters. Which, like, okay, we don't need black Superman, but we're going to create this new kick-ass hero that nobody's ever seen. He'll be black or transgender or Hispanic or whatever. Mm-hmm. So I think we'll eventually, hopefully, switch away from changing what we have and creating new stuff. But also, I'm interested to see what, how Batman looks in 50 years, what they do with Superman in 50 years, who's Spider-Man in 50 years, you know?
I definitely appreciate that because I was right between where Kristy and at like who is inevitably going to crash, if it's going to end, or if it's actually going to stay going forward. I feel like personally, because I am such a huge fan, Stanley's passing was to me a mark that I think that Marvel Comics is going to make a shift in. I don't know if that's going to be a shift for the worse or for the better. I think that it's definitely going to be a bit of a silence that comes over that. It's going to slow down a little bit as far as what we see being cranked out. We're already seeing the actors saying we don't want to like stay in these roles for very long and such.
That was the thing. I mean, when a lot of these people signed up, they didn't think they were going to be doing it 10 years later.
Right.
Yeah. And that's the hardest part of it. But I think in seeing that, knowing the original lore of when we first saw Superman coming out, there was hold on.
It kind of just reminded me of like when in X-Men, the new generation, and the Xavier and Magneto come and find Wolverine in the bar, and he just tells him to fuck off because he's done. Just fuck off. All right, never mind.
I guess we'll get someone else.
Best up.
I'm still getting you just fine, Lip.
Yeah,
can you guys hear me okay now?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. I was like, you all were like super robot-y for a second.
Yeah, it's going in and out of Discord. That's fine. I was getting robot-y from Kurtis as well.
I was just going to say the one thing I think is super important for what I've seen over the course of the transformation of the comics is that when we saw the original Superman, it was during an era that war, propaganda, the fight to be a unified people was so strong that people had to look to something to be aspired to. And then what I find interesting is that when we started seeing Marvel comics come out, we were starting to see things like the Vietnam War, where the idea of pride and the idea of like unification was divided, and there was a sense of like oppression, there was a sense of like segregation. So I think there's an interesting lore between the two comic books that have always been prevalent, that as long as there is this sense of disparity, we will all need to come together to look towards something. And for that reason, we'll always see that type of superhero. And because we always understand that we will be discriminated against, we will be oppressed, we will have things that separate and divide us, we will always need characters from, like, especially like X-Men itself was literally the civil rights movement in its development. That will always be there, and as long as there's that want to feel connected to something that can understand your personal narrative or your unified narrative, we'll always see something like that. I do like the fact that, like you're saying, we won't necessarily see Superman anymore, and this generation that's coming up, they won't know that Superman was a white guy. They won't know that Spider-Man was Peter Parker. They're walking out saying there's Spider-Gwen, there's all these different other characters. So when they go to create their version of it, there's literally a pig that's a Spider-Man. So they're able to create their own.
That's all, folks.
Based on technology. So I think that's great. I think I'm of two minds. I think that the idea of what we look to as that one thing, that Superman, that Iron Man, will definitely come to an end. But I think what's coming out now, especially what we've seen in Into the Spider-Verse and what we've seen of The Laughing Joke, what we've seen of all of these different the Last Live, we get so many different variations and iterations of what the main story is, that now people can create the idea, like you're saying, everybody has their own comic book. They can actually sit here and just say, well, I see this world with these type of powers. I'm not looking at a person anymore. I'm looking at the abilities. I'm looking at the story connection. I think that creates a superhero.
I think these characters come from, and when they're born, they come from the people who need them. So, like you were saying, when Superman was born, it was this sort of, wartime, like, we need this, like, and, it's always, I think it boils down to the people who need them. And that's why a lot of people, the nerdier people, the kids that get picked on, whatever, gravitate towards these heroes. Because, I mean, like, because wouldn't it be cool if, you're a kid who gets shoved in a locker and then you get bit by a spider and then spider powers? But at the same time,
of my life.
I mean, that I definitely, because I feel like there's the parallel, because all of us play D&D, and I'm of the mindset that D&D has saved my life at this point, and I feel like comic books is that way for a lot of people. Is they relate on that level, and they don't feel like they're helpless anymore.
And and I felt that through these because I think there's a shift, and I don't know when it comes for everybody, but I had this shift maybe 3-4 years ago where for the longest time I was like, I know they're fictional characters, but these characters seem like real people to me. But then I had the shift where I'm like, no, it's not these characters, it's the people who are writing them. So when you read a comic like by Neil Gaiman, who's like one of my favorite authors, like when Batman is speaking and you think, wow, Batman is so cool, Batman is here for me, or Superman would defend me, you think like, well, no, this is actually another human being who wrote this. It's Neil Gaiman saying, hey, there are people out there who are here for you, and I'm one of them. So I think it's an interesting tool. Comics are an interesting tool to convey emotion and compassion. Like with Stan Lee and the X-Men, he was saying, like, it sucks, but you're not alone.
You're definitely not alone.
And this is my way of showing it through these colorful characters in costumes, but I'm a human being, you're a human being, and I'm using my medium to show you somebody cares or somebody understands.
And
It's
definitely
so
the fact that
interesting.
we've, like, all the nerd culture kids, like the kids that were bullied, the kids that were into the nerdy, geeky stuff, we're all grown up now. The bullying has stopped. We're above that. Like, usually when you leave high school, leave college, all that is just bullshit. Like, you don't even consider how petty and stupid it was. And you just kind of move forward instead. And now that we're all older, we're kind of like, hopefully, that's my personal optimistic hope, is we push that narrative forward for our the next generation and the generation that follows, so that those kids aren't going to be bullied for liking the nerdy ass shit.
And a lot of the things that these characters do is, I feel like they try and demonstrate the tools of how to handle that. Like, when Gwen Stacy dies, Peter Parker is basically, through the pages of space and time and multiverses, is basically saying, like, hey, you're going to lose people. It's going to suck. But, like, you can go through it. You can make it through. You can be stronger.
I mean, that's the entire, like, storyline in some ways of Into the Spider-Verse.
Yeah.
Right.
Is just how there's loss in everyone's life. But use that, don't forget it.
And anyone
it's
could
not
be
even
a hero.
not even tragic stuff. Not even tragic stuff.
Yeah.
Like, life is gonna come at you, and you know, there's good things, there's bad things.
You gotta ride
It's
it like a
interesting
wave.
you mentioned. It's interesting when you mentioned the idea of, like, kind of like superheroes being like your Santa Claus. Like, as a kid, you couldn't tell me that Spider-Man wasn't real. Like, there was no convincing me that at all. And I think what's strange is that somewhere deep down, I got older. I got more I understood the world more, but there was still that part of me that was just like, Spider-Man is a real person out there, and I'm going to spend my entire life looking for him. And a little bit of spoilers for anybody who didn't read the comic book yet. It's pretty old now, but the comic issue where they decided they were going to kill off Peter Parker, and the way at which that comic book happened, it was this aggressive, kind of blunt way of just looking at all those fans and just say, it is not him. He is a human being. He is able to die. You need to accept the fact that this is the fiction, but what is not the fiction is the world around it, is the fact that what that symbol, what that suit stands for, is something
It's
much
the
more
idea
than
of Spider-Man, not the person.
Yeah.
And that's what makes things like Miles Morales and Into the Spider-Verse so interesting, because I don't know, for anybody who's seen the movie, you get to see Miles in his room reading the exact same comic book, saying like, I am in love with this guy. I know who he is. And you get to be that person. You sit there and you say, I was that age. I did see him as a real person. And then you ask yourself, well, when he's gone, and to deal with that fact of, like, the movie was literally everything that happened to me when I was reading the comic book. I was like, I have to accept the fact that Peter Parker is not always going to be Spider-Man. That is a human. He's not going to be a teenager for the rest of his life. I'm not going to be a teenager for the rest of my life.
He's an old man.
He's an old man that's, like, super
huge, out of shape, just fuck off, was hella lazy.
Which is what a lot of Kingdom Come that I was talking about earlier covers, where seeing these characters, the classic, like, Justice League characters, old is like,
it's weird.
It's really, but the first time you see Batman, he's literally in, like, a metal exoskeleton suit because, like, being Batman has just fucked his body. And seeing them, it's like seeing them age or whatever, and, like, even Superman. The only thing they do to age Superman is they give him, like, streaks of gray on the side. But they do this beautiful thing where it's a story where the story is kind of like, Cal doesn't look older, but, like, he's gone. He's a different person now. He has changed. He has aged with
just because he's an
else.
alien doesn't mean he doesn't get older.
And that's the other thing of these characters. Like, I think one of the most tragic characters is Wolverine.
Yeah.
Like,
Old Man Logan
just
was
the
so-
saddest shit happens to him over and over and over again.
Yeah.
And there's this moment in a comic. It's just called Logan. It's not anything similar to the movie. It's a really short storyline where Logan was in Hiroshima. It was either Hiroshima or Nagasaki before the bombs were dropped.
Yeah,
During
probably
World War
Hiroshima.
And
Probably.
so it's a story that takes place in the past and the present, where there's basically this guy that he escaped the POW camp with was also a mutant, and gets, like, after the bomb drops, he gets trapped as this, like, almost like phantasmal thing. But Wolverine falls in love with this local woman who finally shows him kindness, and then this guy, like, kills her. And then, a lot of Wolverine's thing is like, oh, he's got a lot of tragic backstory stuff, but then he loses his memory a lot. The beauty of this, at the end, and it's not really a spoiler because the story is not necessarily about plot lines, and it's an open-ended thing, is like Wolverine has this, it's like a dream, but also kind of crosses into the spirit world where he sees her, and he's like, she's basically like, I know you still love me, but I have the power to let you forget me, if that's easier for you. And he doesn't answer, and then he just wakes up in the woods, and then he walks off in the woods, and you have no idea whether
If he actually remembers or not.
took it or not. The way I like to believe, the way he speaks in the line before, he has a line, something where, like, forgetting is just as bad, something like that. I like to think that he didn't, because being the ever martyr that Logan is, he's like, no, I'm going to deal with
I don't
the
see
shit.
him. Yeah, I don't see him forgetting.
But it's a beautiful little story.
All right. Well, we should start wrapping up soon. Are there any last-minute questions on this list that you guys want to cover?
I have a question that's not on the list, but I'm kind of curious what you guys would say.
Sure.
If you could have a super power, what would it be?
Oh.
Oh, that is on there.
It is on the list.
Oh,
We
it is
just
on
haven't
there?
touched
Oh,
it.
okay.
Yeah, we just haven't touched it yet because there's so many.
I didn't see it on
There's
there.
so many. This is a long list, and we've covered like maybe 25% of it. So
Yeah.
this could be a
I don't know that I read
four-parter.
the list that well. So.
It's okay. What superpower would I want?
I think the easy bitch answer is flight.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's not necessarily a superpower. Like, super intellect always seemed really cool.
Yeah.
There's a lot of,
Sort
like,
of,
you
Logic.
could do a lot of shit with super intellect. Like, you could be like a Lex Luthor type, you could dark type.
I don't know if this is a
with super intellect.
superpower or if this is just her being her race, but the fact that Starfire kisses someone on the lips to learn the language, fuck
That'd be
yes, that I will do that.
Kristy, I need you.
Thank God it's the lips and not like, oh, she's got a tongue Uranus. And then she's
I mean, I do that if I could learn like all the languages in the world. Fuck yeah, sign me
I'm
up.
sorry, I don't understand you. Please bend over so I can.
So my Starfire question: she flies. She has like crazy laser eyes and laser beams from her hands, and she kisses people to learn their language.
I will say, this is one thing that I think about a lot. Not kissing
what?
people's butts.
Oh.
Not kissing people's butts.
Puts a whole new meaning to kiss my ass.
No, superpowers, guys. Hate you.
I don't know. Yeah,
Here's what I'm
language
saying.
kissing, pretty
Kristy,
good.
you really should read. I keep pitching this all the time. You should really read Young Avengers, specifically Logic's character. Is such an interesting idea. He can have this, like, I don't know if it's eye contact. I think it's also kissing, but he can kiss someone and he immediately adapts all the knowledge that person has until he kisses the next person.
Interesting.
So he
Oh, I
learns
think
all the
I think
information.
I have my answer. That kind of reminded me. They kind of touch upon this with Abe Sapien in the Hellboy movies.
Oh,
I think it'd be a really cool power to be able to touch something and like know its history, and shit like that.
like the empath thing,
Like,
but
I've
just for
always
objects
been,
and
yeah, like I've always been like walking down the street and you'll see like a weird shaped rock or something. You're like, how the fuck did that get here? Or like when you're anything like
yeah,
just random
I feel that. Yeah, I feel that. I would
also love to be able to like touch a book and like basically read it instantly because I have so many books I want to read and don't have the time to do it. So I think that would be like my superpower.
I feel like I like.
Wouldn't we really be able to fight crime with that?
I am not a big fan of. I'm very on the fence about Mantra. I think that Mantra odd. It's a very, very odd character. But I like the fact that she can quell. She has the power to manipulate emotion and like opinion. So essentially, the idea that I can like kind of touch someone on the forehead and kind of like change their emotion to like calm. To me, that would be very important for when you have something like a big State of the Union address and you have people that are just like really tense, to be able to just kind of like touch them and be like, all right, everyone be calm, and they literally just kind of like mellow out so that you can actually have a standard conversation. That's really important to me.
Kind of like Mantis from Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a complicated character, but I do
Miracle
love
can fuck everything up.
Yep. It's an interesting character, but I do think that like I do see a lot of problems coming with that as well. Because you'll never really know how people feel about you if you can control that.
Yeah. For me, I came up with a character when I was younger, and by that I mean when I was in college, so like 3 years ago. Because my friend and I were
language learner.
well, no, so we were trying to figure out what we would do if we were superheroes, and the thing that I came up with is the ability to learn anything in a week.
Ooh, yeah.
So say you wanted to like learn how to fly a plane, week. Say you wanted to learn differential calculus, a week. Say you wanted to learn the best way to irrigate crops, a week. You know, so, and we figured out that the way to limit that is like you can only like have ultimate knowledge of like 3 things at once or something like that, and then you have to forget things. But then I read online one time, someone's like, the best superpower to have is the ability to like manipulate probability. Like,
Domino.
what is the chance that $1 million will fall in front of me? 100%. You know, like, oh yeah, that's actually a really good one. So, but yeah,
Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, I even had the whole like superhero name. It was great. I was student and she was matter, and she could like manipulate matter and pull it around the world. It was really cool. But yeah.
What about you, Kurtis? What would your superpower?
I don't know. That's a hard one. I mean, I have always really liked Green Lantern's abilities to manipulate constructs, like to be able to construct anything in front of you to either help you or help someone
Just
else,
based off your imagination.
Like based off of like what you know, what you think can help you, what's kind of like inside of you. And it's like what you know the best is what your constructs are going to be, and it's like I like that, and to the ability to like not only help myself but also help others. I feel like it would be kind of cool to have. I think that.
Oh God, we're getting like inundated with like really good questions.
I know.
The sad fact is, if most people got a superpower, they would totally use it for evil.
Oh yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Everybody wants to think they'd be a superhero, but no, you'd be an asshole.
No, I fully know that
I just want to be a druid, a moon druid, like, and I'll be good.
Here's
some bad.
I'm stuck between 2 questions, but I want to actually ask for each other, based off of what we talked about with each other, if you could assign one weakness to one person in this group, what weakness would you give to them?
Oh, God. I don't even know.
Kurtis's weakness is having not shit rolls.
Yeah, that would be great. Actually, just so you know, our Wednesday group Into the Abyss, I rolled 5 d20s.
Oh wow!
5 times.
That's me with my Bubbles Monday group. I think my max was I rolled 6 or 7 d20s in a single night. It was great. It was so great.
Yeah.
I wasn't there on Wednesday, so I'm gonna call bullshit.
Nope, it was right.
I would say,
5.
Kristy, your weakness, you have all the powers that you want to have.
Okay.
But the moment that ginger ale touches your lips, your health goes to critical.
Fuck you! Fuck you! Get the fuck out! You know what?
Ginger ale is your kryptonite.
Your weakness is hugs then, bitch! Anytime anyone tries to hug you, you just melt away and turn into ginger ale.
I got one. This was some pre-stream knowledge. Lip. Your weakness is anytime you see donuts, you have to fucking eat all of them.
I do not deny that. It will definitely happen. In the middle of a car chase, I see a donut shop. I'm like, 1 second.
Drives into the donut shop.
Never go to New England. You just hit every Dunkin' Donuts.
It's like in what was that movie? Was it The Other Guys, where Samuel Jackson like drives into a bus and is like,
"Oh yeah,
somebody call 911." Holy shit!
That was a good movie. That was a really good movie.
I would say, Kristy, you're always haunted by people from your backstory.
I mean, touche, motherfucker, touche.
My weakness is definitely not being able to talk about Batman. Cannot talk about Batman.
Kurtis, I would give you your parameters. Like, anytime there is a figurine, a comic book, or a horror movie reference, you are instantly stunned and like glamored by that one object.
Well, that happens all the time. I mean, that happens all the time.
Now it just happens every time.
Do I not do this? Oh, I think I got one for Russ. I was like, anytime that Phantom of the Opera comes up, or you see it, or you think about it, or you know it, you just become completely paralyzed.
You say
it's
life?
Like maybe, yeah.
Paralyzed?
Like, yeah, you just completely paralyzed. Like your body becomes mush. You just fall to the floor. Have to either like scream for help.
What you're saying is I would spend my life in a vegetative state. You guys know, I'm a huge Phantom... Okay, wait, hold on. See that inlaid bookshelf right there? That's my Phantom collection. So, there's no Gerard Butler on there.
Yeah, so that's the other thing, too. Is like every time then maybe that you either see something with Phantom of the Opera, you immediately remember it. Yeah,
you turn into Gerard
Butler, and that's how you remember it.
I wouldn't mind if I turned into Gerard Butler.
No, you don't turn into Gerard Butler. You have a shitty singing voice.
If I ever saw anything Phantom, it instantly became Gerard Butler Phantom. That's rough.
I'm trying to think of one for Annie. I don't know what to do for Annie.
I'm just perfect.
Except
when you leave in the middle of the stream.
Whenever you have the world's like strongest superpower of fighting crime, you're like super intelligent, you have the ability of probability, but all your odds are instantly reversed when you come across a cat. All your probability will instantly flip when you cross a cat.
Oh, no.
That's good.
That's a good one.
It's like the odds of me crossing the street without getting hit is a 90% chance, and then as soon as a cat crosses, it turns into 10%.
The thing is, So it would probably end up being okay because I'd be like, it doesn't matter what the probability is, I'm going for the damn cat. I would cross when it was like
because of the cat and the odds switch.
Well, no, it'd be like I'd run across the street even if there was like 100% chance I was going to get hit by a car, and so it like work out okay because cat.
Because cat.
Oh gosh.
Oh shit.
No, it'd be like there's 100% chance I'm going to win the lottery, and then my cat comes in and it's just like 0.
Done.
No, that's a good weakness.
That's a good weakness.
I'll give you that one.
So
Because you know I can't get away from cats.
This is great superhero team. We got 2 folks where if there's a comic book inside of a opera house that is happening to play Phantom of the Opera, we have 2 people who are just not moving at all.
And Gerard Butler's there.
Gerard Butler's just there stunned, like not moving.
And then you have somebody who's like super weak because they're drinking ginger ale that used to be their friend Philip.
And I'm just looking for a cat.
God forbid Gerard Butler has donuts.
He just comes with a donut, and I got a hug from him and then turned ginger ale.
And then I drink it, and then I'm weak, and it's fine.
Good team, everybody. Good
Good
team.
team. We nailed it. All right. Any
We're all
last
powerful
thoughts?
until a donut cat.
Oh,
I
no.
have
Shout out to
one
the
last
chat,
question, which I think is probably a good question to end on.
Sure.
One
Who's-
last question.
We say that
who's
now.
a character? Who's a character you think isn't appreciated enough, or doesn't get enough love, or enough doesn't get their own comics, or you know what I mean? Like a character you think there should be more of, or that people-
Nightcrawler.
Starfire.
Nightcrawler all the way.
Assassin monkey.
That's hard. That's hard for me. I don't even know.
I have one, so I'll let you think.
Yeah, go.
But Russell, you can't say Batman.
No, it's not Batman. It's not anything like Batman at all. Okay, you ready for this?
Ready.
It's Hawkman.
Hawkman?
It's Hawkman.
The 10 million reiterations by a Hawkman?
Hawkman is so cool. And he's shirtless, first of all. No, but like Hawkman's origin story is really cool about like being a reincarnated Egyptian prince and whatever. It's really cool. And there's so many, they've like tried to change Hawkman and like kept trying to make him, he had like 4 different origin stories for a while. And then instead of retconning them and picking the best one, they were like, hey, you know those 4 origin stories? Those are all his origin stories. They all exist at the same time. So Hawkman is kind of a confused mess that I wish they would sort out and do right, because he's pretty cool, and he's always like, I think he's a great like side character. Like when there's a Just League story and the Hawks are in it, cool. He's pretty definitely Hawkman. Plus he's got a big fucking mace. This is okay. Here's a quote that's gonna sell you on Hawkman. You ready for this? You ready for this? This is a quote from Superman, because he's a real person. Getting hit with Hawkman's mace is like getting hit with a planet.
Wow.
If that isn't fucking cool.
That's pretty fucking cool.
That is pretty cool.
That's pretty fucking cool.
Plus he's got cool bird wings and a hot girlfriend, so.
There you go.
Mine's Starfire, just because, like, whenever it's always, like, the Justice League or the Young... She's always, like, off in the background, and Nightwing's, like... I love Nightwing. He's always, like, taking care of the team, but Coriander... Like, she's always off behind the scenes. She's never there.
Did you read the Starfire solo series?
No, I haven't.
It's a great series. It plays perfectly in, like... There's a lot of great comedy where she's, like, dumb alien who doesn't know things.
Oh, like the animated one?
Yeah. Like, it's great. It's great.
She's my favorite
Definitely.
iteration. I love her dumb alien self.
They basically took that and made it more like an adult kind of fun comic. So yeah, definitely check that out.
I will.
I
just want more of her. That's all. I just want more of her in like the 2019 space. Like I just want. Like I watched like the first episode of the Titans, and I'm not a fan because she's too much like Blackfire in terms of personality right now. But I also haven't watched the entire series, so I don't know if she changes. But she doesn't got, I don't know. She's
Starfire could definitely work, but in modern times, I feel like to make her work, they have to give her an outfit change. Because,
for sure.
Like,
fur does not
having
work.
having your super costume essentially like your nipples are covered, nothing else, isn't great.
Yeah.
So.
Oh my god, I completely agree. Kurtis, you have one yet? I have a second one if you need more time.
Yeah, you could go. I'm trying to think.
Also, a very underrated villain is Professor Pig. Professor Pig's pretty fucking cool.
Professor Pig is very cool.
I just had it in my head. Oh, it's gone now.
Captain Marvel, well, Shazam, is also a pretty cool character who...
See, I was going to say Shazam.
That's the thing, it's like he's getting his own movie, but I'm like,
yeah.
I wish he was getting his own movie that looked better.
I really wish too, because that was the other thing too. It's like I would probably say Shazam, because Shazam comics are. It's not a lot of people that actually ended up reading the comics,
right.
And it went through this little typical like. It was Captain Marvel, and then it became Shazam because everybody always called him Shazam. But it's like a backstory, and it's like Billy Baxton's general is really cool. Like. It does go back to that whole like, well, you are a kid, you want to be a superhero, and it's like the story behind that, how he even gets his powers, and like there's a whole big like there's a with Shazam as like it is I think it's like of like the Greek god, so it's like Zeus, Hercules, like the might of Hercules and stuff like that, and and how Black Adam is like one of his arch nemesis, like he says Shazam, the same gods, he gets the Egyptian gods of that. So it's like Black Adam like has like like it's Horus and like all of those, and it's like
Anubis.
There's a really big
and
universe.
He's really utilized well in Kingdom Come. I keep saying that, but there's a whole plot line in Kingdom Come where Lex Luthor has brainwashed Billy Batson, who's now an adult, and he basically has power over... He's still called Captain Marvel back then because he's brainwashed Billy. And the key thing, I read this one fact on Pinterest, and it got me really into Captain Marvel / Shazam, was when Billy Batson transforms into his superhero persona, it's not just grown-up Billy Batson, it's actually his father, because that is what Billy's father, who was killed when he was young, is his idea of a hero. So he takes the form of his father.
Amazing. Oh, that's cool.
That's cool.
That's really amazing. I was gonna say, people in chat have been saying Knight. I definitely would say Moon Knight. He's just like way too sporadic of like a person. He has 5 billion personalities. So it'd be really hard.
Moon Knight would work well in an animated show. Serialized animated.
Live action would be really impossible to do. But I was thinking, haven't gotten a chance to talk a lot about it, but Brother Voodoo is seriously underrated, and I think especially now that we've seen the success of Black Panther, seeing something like Brother Voodoo would be unbelievable, and his ability to like essentially use his brother who passed away to kind of like come back to the material plane and help him see and do things on this plane with his brother on the other side, and essentially like saving the world between the realm and the astral plane is ridiculously cool. It's kind of like it would be essentially like an African Egyptian Americanized version recreated of like what we saw in Doctor Strange, but then also talking about what that spirituality would be from Black Panther. Putting those two kind of lores together would be really cool to see. And somebody, Sarah says Hero Bear.
Also, I would like to see more of the Spectre too. I know we actually mentioned that a little bit. Spectre,
Yeah,
the Spectre character is so cool. And it's just like he needs to be the judgment. Like once he comes upon you, it's like you will be judged, and it's like you play. It's like, and in Blackest Night, he's so cool. It's just like he's so awesome. I would like to see a little bit more about him.
And
He
they
is
always
like that mystical.
I would just like in general to see more Asian influence for superheroes, more Asian actors, or just Asian influence in general, whether it be Japanese, Korean, Chinese. Like just more Asians would be nice.
Isn't Adam
more diversity?
The Atom is an Asian right now, I think.
Okay, because he's a doctor, right?
Yeah.
I know there's like
I don't know a lot
I've
of
looked.
lore.
There's like Sunfire, Cindy Moon, Komodo,
Yeah, the current Atom
Cybermancer.
is Asian. I don't know his name.
Cybermancer. She's Japanese. But yeah, that's
Definitely
my
should
vote.
have more of them.
That's my vote.
I think more Batman.
God damn it.
All right, thank you, folks.
On that note, any last shout-outs you guys want to do for Tabletop Legends?
Watch it, bitches.
Watch it, bitches. April 2nd, Tuesday,
Watch it.
7 p.m.
Yeah,
If you tune in, you can possibly win
possibly win some cool
that
shit.
custom art of the core handbook. And who does the art on that one? Do we know? I can't remember.
No clue.
I can't remember right now.
Nope.
But it's pretty cool looking, so you guys should definitely go check it out and enter the roulette.
Hey, Russell. Hey, Kurtis. You should watch this show Tuesday if you are a type of person who likes blank.
D&D.
Yeah. Hold on. I'm sorry, you cut out there. What happened?
You should watch Tuesday's Tabletop Legends if you're a type of person who likes blank.
Fill in the blank.
If you like shenanigans.
Yes.
Say shenanigans.
Yes.
I'm a shenanigans.
Some of our characters are in the show are very full of shenanigans, which is one sitting.
I would say,
Shenanigan D&D.
I would say if you are one of the people like the other people on this stream who laughed really hard at my Starfire anus, this show is definitely for you.
That show is for you.
All that kind of stuff.
Well, on that healthy note,
we did a test session the other night, and Chris, what was it like? We did like a themed improv, and then like with 15 seconds, we did this exercise where it started out I came up with this idea. It was called "Don't I Know You from Somewhere?" Where all our characters are in a tavern, and we look around, you recognize her or something, but you can't pick out where. It very easily became that we were pretty sure everybody was a prostitute. So,
Watch the show.
Quality
It's good
D&D.
family fun.
quality
Good
show
old
here
fun.
on Mystic
So,
Hour,
if you
guys.
you like comedy, you like watching me count on my fingers after something.
Hi, math.
All right, guys.
Maybe
Well,
we'll
thank
check it out.
you to my guests, Lip, Ani, Russell, and Kurtis. Thanks so much for joining me on this very vast topic, which I'm sure we've just scratched the surface of. There will definitely probably be a part 2 of this. Yeah,
I
thanks
had
so
a lot of fun.
much. I'm glad I had fun too. Thanks, chat, for keeping us
Definitely.
occupied and asking all these awesome questions. We love you so much. Remember to check us out tomorrow for Storm King's Thunder at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we will see you guys next week. Okay, love you. Bye.
Bye.